coming from a very painful point of view.
You know what you've just quoted about from Samson Kasumba? It's a big deal.
It is.
It's a big deal, not just on Twitter, but on even your own page. You have your own page on whatever social media it is.
Guys
are, you have experienced something, you speak about something you've experienced, you've gone through, and you're offering, maybe you're just sharing with the Facebook family your experience. Someone comes and they're telling you don't know what you're talking about, you are wrong and so on. But you went through whatever it is that you went
and you're
through.
like, bro, who hurt you?
You know, we seem to be living in a world where people are standing on brokenness. As in, for people to stand tall, they feel they have to cut down others.
That's the quote you read the other day, Marianne Williamson. There's nothing enlightened about feeling
our greatest fear. It's not that we are
inadequate. But it's, you see, so here we are talking about worth. So you drove in here and your car somehow could manage to get through a ramp. My brother's car can't. Parked it aside.
The car is so parked on the roadside.
I was like, my car's too many of this. Blinking everywhere. Blinking. Mine is also out
now
there.
You see, you're affecting his work. He's going to now go back to his car and say,
so we need to fix this because my brother, for example, we were in the same class. I'm using it as an example. And then we turn up and he's driving a Range Rover and I'm driving my Subaru.
Maybe you're not even driving.
Thank you. Yeah. Now, in that moment, Ronnie, I want you to talk to us about the power dynamic of a confident man. The solid Jama who is in a world where it is trying to cut him down to size. And maybe sometimes it is the people he loves that are trying to cut him down and make him feel like he's worthless.
Ronnie, have you been compared, or have you ever compared yourself?
Absolutely. There's no one who hasn't.
Yeah.
And we all fall short. And there are things I used to do and I now see maybe some colleagues doing the same and I just say, so that's how ridiculous I sounded. you know, maybe you're in the company of big boys. Some guys who have maybe achieved something. Not even a big deal. But in their presence, you automatically feel inadequate. And then you just psychologically start to big up yourself. With things that you don't even have. Maybe the guy has invited you for a housewarming party. You don't have anything. But somehow you start saying, I've been moving with brokers. We are looking at some plots here. And there's a good break coming through. There's a deal I'm chasing, and many times those big boys will just look at you and say, good. And
Ronnie, I know you to be an honest man. You did this.
Absolutely. And with big boys and just feeling the need to size up, because you sort of feel a sense of inadequacy, and maybe you want to throw some achievements on the table. And say, so the minister, I took a selfie with the minister. And really, I think in their heads, they're like, all right, bro, I think you're trying too hard here. And now I've had some colleagues also who, just inevitably, and sometimes I take them aside, I say, so maybe now God has blessed me, we've been able to, move into our own place or what, and sometimes when friends come, and you can catch, there's just that feeling of, my bro has left me. And then you start to open your mouth and verbalize that inadequacy and trying to show catch up. Like, we have also got here in Burindo. It's what I want. The Colorado thing, we fell a bit short, but I'm what? And I almost want to say, bro, it's all right. You're still my birthday. You're still what? These things, my language, I say, Musheng. This is son. This is so. So I have felt inadequate, and the question is, and as I don't know whether you're bringing it to a rap or whatever.
No, we're not bringing it to a rap yet.
Okay, like your name is the solution. So then what do you do? Because all around us is negativity from school, parents, what? Though some of us are lucky, and people who have made it will tell you there was a teacher. There was an aunt. There was someone who told me,
turning point.
You can. And it was also a word, and a word that someone grabbed and believed and ran with. I think scripture says the purposes of a man's heart are as deep waters, but it takes a man of wisdom to draw from them. Yeah, and every once in a while you catch a man of wisdom like that who is able to draw from you and speak to you and just let you loose, with that word. So my question is then, what do you do? Are you going to cry because you're on Twitter because they never said any good words to you? Your boss, what? The question is, as a man, what are you then going to do to take the bull by the horns if no one is giving you any good words?
I thought, even as you think about the answers to that question, I had a personal transformation in the way that I look at life. Because you see, you're talking about relationships, and there are people who want to get close to you because of where you are.
Yeah.
I think I've been called social climbers. Yeah. And this person's self-esteem is dependent on the association with you.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to think about that person and how they think. Because we've all been that person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who is building relationships based on what people can do for them. And I came to this realization. If that is how you go about life, there is a very big limitation on the size of your network. Because it's dependent on external factors which have nothing to do with you.
Your validation is from who you're associating with.
Exactly. Now, when I began to hang around some rich people, I found an interesting thing. 3 people that would consider wealthy in this country, they would all pick up their phones that were ringing. You've seen this, huh?
Yeah.
Call a rich person, doesn't pick his phone, he puts it down,
flips it over.
So this guy goes ahead and says, what I don't like about my work is because people are mostly need-based. They will only call you when they need something. No one calls you to say hi. No one calls you to say what's up. I was like, wait, so wealthy people be lonely like that? And I decided I'm going to be that guy who calls wealthy people just to say what's up.
Just say hi.
Call a wealthy person.
Yeah.
You've been calling me of late.
You're wealthy. You didn't know. but this is what I'm talking about. What shifted for me, and actually that really broke the circle. Why? Because now I was thinking, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
And when you begin to think, what can
some value I can bring to the table?
Like when you think about it, what value can you bring to a rich man? Because the Bible tells us, he who gives gifts to a rich man will become poor. That's in Proverbs. So you have to think and say, okay, what value? So this takes us back to the conversation of esteem and worth. That you have been measured based on the other person's achievements, that you do not realize that you have something within you to bring to this table. And that is up to you to discover when you look at yourself as a man in the mirror. And so what can I do for Habzo?
But even that discovery is gotta be, you've got to accept what you see.
Yeah.
You're gonna find something that Habzo doesn't have. He has what he has inside of him.
Straight.
And you have what you have inside of you.
So this is a conscious decision.
It has to be a conscious decision. And you've got to love what you find in there.
Yeah.
Probably you don't have that sweet voice like a singer. Or maybe you don't have the wittiness of the humor of someone else.
But when you put your something pen else. To paper.
When you put your pen to paper, you can write and so on and so forth. But you got to reconcile yourself to the fact that there is uniqueness. Your worth is unique.
And you have to define it yourself.
You've got to define it, and you can't copy and paste.
Because what if Ronnie lied? Ronnie said, you're a great speaker. But maybe he was just
bigging you up
to make you, feel.
And yet, what you're supposed to do is something else. Yeah. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that like you mentioned, and I think we're gonna have to have that song in our bed, that the worth of a man is what's on the inside, because it's what's on the inside is what gives birth to the outside.
But I want to ask you guys, because we've dwelt quite a bit on the inside. Is there a way that the outside, especially what you do because of what you know you are, contributes to your worth?
Certainly. Yeah, and I'll give you an example. There's a guy who I admire or look up to, especially in the field of team building and training. Nigerian brother, you probably know him. You should host him here. He's a solid jammer. Egbuson. I think Francis.
Francis Egbuson. Yeah.
I've done coffees with Francis. And there's a thing about these guys up there.
We talked about Nigerians last week.
You go hoping he's going to give you a solution. So just tell me what I need to do. I don't know, like Nicodemus, tell me what I need to do to be born again. And the guy just keeps throwing it at you. Man, the guy, every coffee I've had, I never get he just throws back questions. And how does that make you feel? So what are you going to do about it? I'm like, I
thought I came.
I will. Aren't you going to tell me now? This is the challenge. So what do you think? And by the time I leave, I have more homework than. And I cannot. If I meet him once, I have to meet him maybe another 6 or so months. Because what he leaves me with is just
a lot of assignments.
I don't like such people. I love such people.
It's just.
Those are coaches 101. That's 100%.
That's Peter Nyako. The kind of person you come to him thinking you're clever. And you discover, actually, you have a lot of work to do.
So I went to him because I was just new in the field, and I felt, to be able to get jobs and what, as you pitch, you need to, on the CV, needs to show certified this, has this, discs, Maxwell, and I think he holds the franchise for Steve Covey or something. And I was just saying, so what do I need to do? I need to... And he had all the connections, but he kept telling me, but what do you need this for? And I told him, but, I just need it. It's like, for what? Then he asked me, now, you've been in the field doing some work and what? Let's look at the last 6 or 8 months. He asked me for a period of time. Said, how many of those jobs did you get because
you had
you had a certain paper or what? I said, well, I threw it back to him. I said, but how many might I have missed? Because someone, he said, okay, to share, that's maybe you have a, but at the end of the day, he really pointed me to say, you know what? I'm going to give you all the connections. He pointed me, gave me a few numbers to call, and pointed me some certifications I could do. But after correcting my mindset, say, you know what? It's not that external thing that you need. You are equal to the task. You can what? And a lot of these courses are quite expensive. $1,800, $3,000, $4,000. And I was like, before you spend all of your money trying to big up, because you're trying to big yourself up. And it's not worth it. So these accolades and what, whereas they are good, and in as much as possible,
if you have the opportunity to get them.
But until you address the inner worth, the outside accolades are just If the inner worth is addressed, then these outside are just they're a plus, and they can indeed give you momentum. They can open doors, certainly, because when then someone talks to you and feels the vibe and then checks out your paperwork, it's also matching, then you're accelerated. And I just came back from in Mukono with a team from NITA, and well, without mentioning names, one of the ladies as we're having this coffee, and she was just sharing how, because she's a lady in IT in a man's world, she's doing all these courses, but she caught herself this year and said, she's doing these courses just to prove.
Does her name start with F?
But she was like, because she had become, I think, senior to these boys in coding, and got a senior role, but the boys would challenge her, what do you know about coding? You don't even know what you're talking about. And because of that, she went and started doing certifications and courses she didn't need. And so that when they asked, what do you know? And she's like, excuse me, the latest technology shows that I know. And so by the time we're done, she had resolved, said, you know what, I don't need this course. The only driving factor has been to prove these boys when they ask me, do you know what you're talking about? And I think she's going to save some money on that, save some time, and use that time with family or whatever. So these external accolades, great. and in as much as possible,
if you get the opportunity, you can get them. But don't let them be a crutch.
But until they are useless, because if we pull them away from you and then there's nothing left,
that's it.
Then it's a waste.
So I'm doing a series on my podcast. We've been talking about purpose and personal finances. One of the things that came out is just what you've mentioned, that sometimes there's a lot of expenses. You know, finances, there's expenses, there's savings, there's investments, there's budgeting and all that stuff. But if you come to a place where you find that most of your expenses are going towards upping your worth,